INTJ weaknesses. 7 struggles of being INTJ. The INTJ personality is described as a strategic mastermind. Among their strengths is an ability to foresee complications and devise effective contingency plans that prevent disaster and avert crisis. INTJs live primarily in the world of their introverted intuition, which makes their perspectives highly impressionistic in nature. They think in images and patterns and are often consumed with the desire to interpret and evaluate meanings, pathways, and future outcomes. Along with their strengths, there are also personality weaknesses that many INTJs may contend with. Here is a look at 7 struggles associated with being an INTJ. 1. INTJ, disillusionment. Surveys show INTJs to be among the types most likely to suffer from major depression. Ironically, they are also a type who reports the least stress about school, caring for aging parents, balancing home and work, health, and caring for children. They report high stress levels regarding their professions, intimate relationships and finances. INTJs can sometimes lead themselves down a path that turns out to be not what they imagined it to be. INTJs can sometimes get caught up in the occasional appeal of their inferior SE and all its trappings. They can form a certain image in their mind about what success and the ideal life looks like that is largely superficial and unrealistic. Furthermore, INTJs can also become overly concerned with material gains as a source of validation, instead of developing better self-knowledge. This can lead to bitterness if they are unable to achieve this, as well as feelings of shame and disappointment. Falling short of their goals can have a severely negative impact on the INTJ self-image. 2. INTJ, romantic problems. Getting into serious relationships can pose a challenge for INTJs, and many may choose to forego intimate relationships to live a solitary and hermetic existence for much of their life. INTJs tend to seek out like-minded people, which can be hard to come by. Many INTJs pair best with other INTJs. Their approach to dating is akin to a job interview where they are an employer seeking a qualified person to fill the position of romantic partner. INTJs are inclined to seriously evaluate the long-term potential of a romantic prospect and are not inclined to get too serious with anyone who doesn't meet their practical criterion regardless of how attractive they are. INTJs can appear confident and knowledgeable, which is appealing, but they can also exhibit a deficit in social grace and struggle in the art of creating emotional bonds and human connection. Furthermore, INTJs have trouble expressing their feelings, and some INTJs may nervously scoff at the level of emotional intimacy a partner might desire from them. People who get into relationships with INTJs and other rationals often complain of their emotional distance and coldness. 3. INTJ, non-conformity. INTJs are highly independent thinkers and will generally choose to do what feels right to them despite society and social norms. Like INFJs, INTJs are among the rarer types and consequently may feel out of place or abnormal in comparison to their peers. They also are not impressed by titles of authority and can become defiant against authority figures, perceived as trying to coerce or impose irrational directives onto the INTJ. This can contribute to some of INTJ's social and interpersonal woes, especially in the workplace. INTJs have a tendency to isolate themselves in various ways and struggle to fit in and relate to others. 4. INTJ, poor bedside manner. When it comes to expressing criticism and opinions, the INTJ is inclined to dispense them with brutal honesty and directness. In many situations, INTJs see little point in sugarcoating the truth or mincing their words with fluffy euphemisms that dilute the cogency of their point. They make a strong effort to articulate their thoughts with precision and clarity, and oftentimes may neglect to consider how their words might come across. Furthermore, INTJ communication skills may lack warmth and display a high degree of curtness. INTJ's tertiary phi may be partly what compels them to communicate with such unapologetic authenticity. At the same time, INTJs may have a sense of humor that is slightly dark and can show up at times that may be deemed situationally inappropriate. Although it may not be their intention, INTJs can easily offend others with their insensitive remarks and harsh criticisms. From their perspective, they are simply telling the truth as they see it. 5. INTJ, obstinance. The INTJ personality is notorious for their stubborn persistence, intellectual arrogance and dismissive attitude. Although INTJs, in the interest of improvement both in themselves and the systems they are a part of, may show a healthy attitude about criticism, they can sometimes fail to acknowledge their own shortfalls while focusing on those of others. At their best, INTJs are not threatened by other people's suggestions and critiques. They are inclined to either take criticisms into consideration or disregard them as invalid. However, INTJs at times may show a pattern of resistance to criticism and an unwillingness to accept blame. At their worst, INTJs can become know-it-alls and pretentious elitists who judge others harshly and turn their nose up at almost anyone who doesn't measure up to their standards and expectations, however unrealistic they may be. When people misunderstand them, the INTJ may be convinced that it could only be due to the ineptitude of others rather than any fault of their own. 6. INTJ missing out on the moment. INTJs are noted for their long-range perspective. In surveys, INTJs were found to project themselves farthest into the future of all the MBTI types. This preoccupation with the future is associated INTJ's dominant function, introverted intuition, which is in stark contrast to the spontaneous, in-the-moment mode of extroverted sensing. Types with inferior SE such as INFJ and INTJ harbor a love-hate relationship with the sensate world. They regard it as fleeting and vapid, and when they indulge in it, it is often in an overcompensatory, extreme fashion. INTJs are mostly inclined to be shut-ins who rarely go out, except when necessary, but secretly, they would like to have some exhilarating experiences and to feel alive. They will often bury themselves in their work, their thoughts primarily focused on abstraction and pattern finding. Their minds are often laden with worries and fears. INTJs can easily get so wrapped up in their heads that they forget to stop and smell the roses and appreciate life's pleasures. 7. INTJ getting caught up in the details. Normally, INTJs do not fixate on details and prefer instead to focus on a broader perspective, but a perspective that orbits around a chief goal or objective. They rely mostly on their hunches and intuitive impressions to guide them forward. Sometimes, especially when under stress, INTJs can get so involved in granular details that they fail to see the forest for the trees. They can lose sight of the bigger picture while hyper-focusing on a particular problem. Moreover, INTJs can lose sleep over persistent worries and reviewing of such problems, especially those relating to finances. INTJs can experience intense anger and irritability under such conditions, and this can cause a strain on their relationships with others. In the grip of their inferior SE, INTJs can sometimes go overboard with external sensory activities like cleaning, repairing and exercising, things that INTJs normally view as unwanted diversions, keeping them from tending to more meaningful and significant tasks. Thanks for watching. Please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Till next time.